Okay, this is the Ferrari 275P. It has a Cox chassis on it. It actually has the GT40 chassis on it. As you can see the frame underneath there. What I did is, the body is made by Monogram. It's a 1964 issue body, which you could have made a slot car out of it, because they had the piece that went in here that was flat with the driver on there, or you could make a static kit out of it with the interior, you know, and the tires and wheels that came with the kit. So what I was thinking about doing is, I had this Cox chassis, so I put the kit's full interior in there, and I cut it up with a Dremel tool so I could fit the chassis in there, just like Cox kit cars came out in the 60s had. And it fits like a glove. I mean, when you look at it from the side, you can't even see the chassis hanging down. It's all reset right into the car. You can't really see it from here. It's kind of dark, but take my word for it. It fits like a factory fit kit. And it runs pretty damn good. And the body's mint. The chassis had a lot of corrosion on it, and I had it sonic cleaned. And after it was sonic cleaned, I realized that the encrustment on it ate away part of the frame, which you can see right there on this corner by that left wheel. And on the front guide, on the guide where you put the, wouldn't show on this Cox car, maybe on this one here. That little guide, that part of the frame in the front there, where the front end screws into the body. You can't even see it on this Cheetah either. But it has that little groove in there where you can move the front wheels up and down to adjust the wheelbase. Well, you know how that little groove is sort of like an oval shape, or one of them sides totally was eaten away, and I just cut it off. But the rest of it's all there and it's intact. That was the only thing wrong with the chassis. But, you know, those are hard to find. And when you do find them, a lot of the time they're encrusted. And it's hard to find a real good one. So I'm just going to run this a couple of laps so you can see it, because I got it on eBay right now. And if you want to read about it, just look under King Rat. That's my ID on eBay. And I've been building slot cars since 1962. These are just some of them. Cox Chaparral right there. I think that's an F. The Bill Thomas Cheetah DRM. There's another old one, an old Cooper. And this thing here, I don't even know what kind of chassis this is. It's a jail door, and I don't know who makes it. Somebody told me it was an Unger. But a lot of the cars I build from scratch. A lot of them I use just model bodies, and I make slot cars out of them. And I know that Paz and we once in a while share ideas and give each other little tips and stuff out of detail. So I'm going to give you a couple laps here, let you see how it runs. I'm not going to go too fast with it. Let me put the car on a track, that might help. It goes just as good as any slot car or Cox slot car you could buy it at the kit car. I'm not going fast with it at all because I have it for sale on eBay, and I don't want to get it to drop off the track, and that'll really wouldn't be a good idea to do. But what you see of it running right here is the most it ever ran, because the motor in it, it's a new old stock motor, and I took it out of the blister pack and put it on this chassis, and it's probably not even broken in yet. So the car's pretty fast. I have some other Cox cars that I actually did bring to the commercial track, and they're just as fast as the Parma cars with the Champion chassis on them, and Death Stars are just as fast as those cars are. They're Group 10. All the Cox cars are all commercial track cars. They call them home set cars now, but they're not. When I first started racing, these were the cars that you raced with, the Cox cars. And another thing nobody really knows about, Cox is the same manufacturer as Colford. Colford and Cox is the same company. Colford makes the slot cars and Cox still owns the patent, and so they made a deal with Colford Racing because that's an old name that goes way back. So whenever you see Colford race cars, they're the #1 race cars in the world. And back in the 1960s, the Cox cars were the #1 cars in the world. If you had a Cox, you could beat anybody on a track in the 60s. That's why the Cucarachas were so popular. So there you have it, the 275 Ferrari. Body's made by Monogram in 1964. I didn't airbrush the body, but I usually do to my cars to seal in the decals, but this one I didn't. It's painted Italian red. It's really bright red. It's nice. So for you collectors, it's not a mint car. The chassis is, I would say, acceptable because of the encrustment, but it's all intact. The wrong wheels for the car. They got GT40 wheels, but the body's beautiful. You know, maybe if you have a better chassis, you throw it on here because the posts on here are brand new and they line up perfectly. There it is. Hope you liked the video. Have any questions, just ask.